Today I just wanted to talk about leaving your world development open for player interaction and character development. And I think that some people in the world building community, it's very easy to get carried away to make your world so complete that there's no gaps, there's no empty voids. You've finished. And it's a very completionist way of looking at things, and it's also very restrictive for your players, and that's something that cannot happen. Creativity needs a void. It needs a vacuum. Now, I do believe in this idea that creativity needs to have constraints, of course, but constraints also doesn't mean that you're operating within a perfect developed world. You need to have some sort of nebulous concept that the player can latch onto and then do their character development within that. And if that means that you need to just rewrite a portion of your background or your world building, that just is what needs to happen. But if you, during the process of your world building, just create situations where there are voids that your players can develop their own characters in, you are doing yourself a massive favor, because you're no longer attaching emotion to that world building. And then you're allowing your players to assist you within that world building. And the reason that's important is because your world will then become organic, and your ideas, well, you think that they're great, probably aren't as good as you think they are. I face that kind of thing all the time. Your players can help you develop your world in a more organic way because they think differently than you. And that is the important thing, is if they thought exactly how you did, then you wouldn't have such an organic way of looking at things. And that's important for realistic world building, and it's also important for investment, for player investment. If your players feel like all they're doing is adding small little things to your world and your setting, then their investment in your setting is going to be very limited. This is what I think is the large issue with things like Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms, is that the world is already pretty much set up, and it's not available for a lot of creativity. It's limited creativity. Like, obviously, if you get a really good DM and they're running Forgotten Realms, then that's going to be different. But a lot of DMs and pre-written adventures have these left and right limits, and of course that can breed a lot of creativity. But if you've got a player that wants to do a little bit more of experimentation and sandbox with their character, it's going to limit that creativity, because now you have lore that is captured, and that lore is not, it needs to be fluid. And I think a lot of DMs and a lot of players don't understand that fluidity is the important part of the lore. So, kind of getting back to my original point, it's important to leave gaps, large gaps, in your lore. And if you don't, you might as well just write a book instead of run a D&D campaign, because you want to control it all. And part of the fun of running a game in that manner is the fact that you are not in control of your main characters. You're only in control of the supporting characters and the environment. And the main characters can surprise you, not only with their actions, but with the success of those actions.